You don't overthink because you're smart. You overthink because you're scared. And the worst part? You've been calling it being careful. You've been calling it thinking things through. You've been calling it responsible. But here's what's actually happening inside your head. You're not solving problems. You're avoiding them. And that loop in your brain that won't shut up, it's not trying to protect you. It's keeping you stuck, and that's the problem. Most people think overthinking is a thinking problem. It's not. It's a feeling problem. Here's what psychology actually tells us. Your brain overthinks when it doesn't feel safe to act, not when it needs more information, not when the situation is complicated, when it doesn't feel emotionally safe. That's the thing no one tells you. You could have all the information in the world. You could have a plan, a backup plan, and a backup to the backup, and you'll still be stuck in your head. Because overthinking was never about logic. It was always about fear wearing a very convincing disguise. The disguise looks like, I just want to make the right decision. Sounds reasonable. It's not. Because people who make good decisions, they don't overthink. They decide. They move. They adjust. Overthinkers don't want to decide. They want a guarantee. And life doesn't give guarantees. So the loop never ends. The what-if spiral that only goes one way. Here's something uncomfortable. When you overthink, your what-ifs are almost always negative. What if it goes wrong? What if they judge me? What if I fail? What if I lose? Almost never. What if it works? What if they love it? What if this changes everything for the better? Your brain defaults to the dark version every time. And you've trained it to do that, not because bad things happen more, but because pain feels more real than hope. So your brain keeps running the disaster simulation, not to prepare you, to stop you. Sounds protective. It's sabotage. You overthink the things that you already know the answer to. This one stings. Think about a decision you've been overthinking for weeks. Now ask yourself honestly, did you actually not know what to do? Or did you know exactly what to do and you just didn't want to feel what came with it? The discomfort of having that conversation. The vulnerability of putting yourself out there. The grief of letting something go. Overthinking is often not confusion. It's delay with extra steps. You already knew. You've probably always known. The thinking wasn't helping you decide. It was helping you avoid deciding. That's the part nobody wants to admit. The more you try to stop, the worse it gets. Here's the counterintuitive one. Every piece of advice says, stop overthinking. Easier said. Never done. Because here's what actually happens when you try to stop. You start thinking about your thinking. Why am I doing this again? Why can't I just be normal? Other people don't do this. What's wrong with me? Now you're not just overthinking the original problem. You're overthinking yourself. Layer on top of layer. And the harder you push it away, the louder it gets. This is called the ironic process theory. The brain is terrible at don't think about X. The moment you say stop, it starts. So the solution isn't to fight it. We'll get to that. Overthinking feels like productivity. This is the one that keeps you trapped longest. Because while you're overthinking, you feel busy. You feel like you're working on it. You feel like progress is happening. You're researching, analyzing, considering every angle. It feels like action. But nothing is moving. No email sent. No call made. No decision taken. You spent 3 hours thinking. And you're exactly where you started. Overthinking is the brain's way of feeling productive without the risk of actually doing something. It's fake work, comfortable, safe, and completely useless. Now, here's where I need you to stay with me, because this next part isn't comfortable. The question most people ask is, how do I stop overthinking? But the real question is, what am I actually afraid to do? Because if you look closely, your overthinking is always circling something specific. A relationship you're afraid to end. A dream you're afraid to chase. A truth you're afraid to say out loud. The overthinking is not random. It's a guard. Standing at the door of whatever scares you most. And as long as you're focused on stopping the guard, you never deal with what's behind the door dot. So here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need to think less. You need to act before you feel ready. Not recklessly, deliberately, because readiness is a feeling. And that feeling is designed to never arrive. The people you admire who seem decisive, they're not less scared. They just stopped waiting for the fear to disappear before they moved. How to actually stop, not generic advice. Here's what actually works. First, name what you're actually afraid of. Not, I don't know what to do. Be specific. Write it down if you have to. I'm afraid they won't accept me. I'm afraid I'll waste years of my life. I'm afraid I'll look stupid. Name the fear underneath the thought. The loop loses power when you see it clearly. Second, give yourself a decision window. Not forever. Not, I'll think about it. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour max. When the time is up, you decide with what you have. Imperfect decisions move you forward. Perfect decisions are fiction. Third, let the discomfort happen. This is the hardest one. Stop trying to think your way out of discomfort. Sit with it. Let it exist. It won't kill you. It will pass. And every time you let it pass without running, the loop gets a little quieter, not because you beat it, because you stopped feeding it. Here's what I want to leave you with. Overthinking isn't a personality trait. It's a habit that formed because at some point, staying in your head felt safer than living your life. Maybe someone made you feel stupid for being wrong. Maybe a risk you took blew up in your face. Maybe the world just felt unpredictable and your mind was the only place you could control. That made sense then. It's costing you now. Every day spent in the loop is a day you didn't show up for the person you could be. For the life that's sitting right there, waiting, the thoughts will come back tomorrow. They'll feel urgent. They'll feel important. Most of them won't be. The question isn't, what should I think? The question is, what would I do if I stopped waiting to feel ready? Answer that, then go do it. You're not overthinking because you care too much. You're overthinking because you're afraid to find out what happens when you stop.